And I am so pleased to come to the floor and participate in this debate. I think it's one of the most important debates that we have every single year. And listening to all the comments that are taking place here this evening, Mr. Speaker, you know, it is not lost on me. Budgets are supposed to be about priorities. Budgets should reflect the priorities of a nation, and they should lay out the funding for what we think is important, where we should spend the taxpayers' money. And I think we have to stop there and pause just a moment. Because, Mr. Speaker, when I listen to some of our colleagues make comments, as my dear friend from New York just made, talking about all the good things that could be done with money, this is not our money. I do admit that the federal government has first right of refusal on the taxpayer's paycheck. I agree with that. I recognize they do that. I don't agree with that. But I think what we have to do is say, having first right of refusal isn't right, but the taxpayer turns that money over willingly, and they have the right to know how we spend their money. They have the right to know what those priorities are going to be. So all the functions of the budget are supposed to lay those priorities out. Now, Mr. Speaker, when I have talked with my constituents about this budget, number one thing that they have said is this: with the way the taxes are going up, with the way the spending is going up in Washington, I am having too much month left over at the end of my money. And they think the priority reflected in this budget ought not to be the federal government having first right of refusal on that paycheck. The first priority ought to be leaving that paycheck with the person that earned it. Well, what a novel idea. What a novel idea. Well, let's just look at what we see in the Democrat leadership's budget. Well, the largest tax increase in American history. Here it is. And you can see previously we had $241 billion in '93. That was President Clinton's tax increase. But now look at the number over there, $683 billion in tax increases over a 5-year period of time to pay for the spending that this House wants to participate in. Well, we know this is going to be costly. So when you look at a chart of what it's going to cost every state, $2,611 is what it will cost the average Tennessean. In my district in Tennessee, that number is $2,668. Well, taxes seem to be a priority, enough of a priority that this Democrat leadership wants to increase taxes on my constituents in the 7th District of Tennessee, $2,668. But, Mr. Speaker, they had the opportunity to extend sales tax deductibility, which those of us in Tennessee have enjoyed because we don't have a state income tax, and every Democrat on the Budget Committee voted against giving that tax relief to my constituents in Tennessee because they wanted higher taxes. Well, the question is, what are they going to do with this tax money once they get it? And here is a chart that shows their discretionary spending increases. Well, we see $23 billion above the request in fiscal '09, and whoops, looks what's going to happen over there. $280 billion. And what does that discretionary spending buy the taxpayer? Well, Mr. Speaker, there's $280 billion worth of earmarks. That is what...
Lady, another minute.
I thank the gentleman from Texas. We're going to have another $280 billion, not hundred, not thousand, not million, but billion with a B. $280 billion worth of earmarks that we're going to see over a 5-year period of time. The American people have said enough is enough. They want that discretionary spending to come down. They want the earmarked spending to come down. Well, let's take a look at one more thing, and that is entitlements. And we don't even have enough time, obviously, to address that. This House has chosen not to address it. This leadership has chosen not to address it. And look at this chart. By the time we get to 2030, it is going to take every tax dollar coming in to pay for the entitlements of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. We know there is a crisis coming with entitlements. We know that we are going to see earmarks increase, and my constituents are telling me they've had enough of it. They've got too much month left over at the end of that money, and they want to keep more of that money in their pocket. I yield to the gentleman from Texas.
At this time, I